The Galactic Educational Exchange had seemed like such a promising venture when the Council first approved it. Representatives from 17 different species would send their brightest young minds to study on various homeworlds, sharing knowledge and fostering understanding across the stars. Xenobiology had been honored to be selected as one of 3 Crothery students chosen to study on the recently discovered world the inhabitants called Earth. The Crothery were proud of their physical prowess, standing nearly 3 meters tall with chitin-reinforced exoskeletons and mandibles capable of crushing titanium alloy. They were among the most formidable warriors in known space. Their homeworld of Krothak was a harsh realm of crystalline mountains and acid seas, where only the strong survived to adulthood. These humans appear relatively weak, Professor Vexklar had briefed them before departure. Soft-bodied, small, with no natural weapons or armor. Their world seems almost gentle. Consider this assignment a vacation before your real military studies begin. How wrong they had been. Xenobiology now sat in what the humans called a lecture hall at something called Stanford University, alongside exchange students from across the galaxy. There was Morok, a Thanisian whose crystalline body could withstand the pressure of gas giant atmospheres. Keeltosh, a Valdorian whose energy-based physiology made her effectively immortal to most known threats. And a dozen others, all representatives of species that had conquered their hostile homeworlds through superior evolution. The human professor, a small female named Dr. Sarah Chun, seemed almost comically fragile compared to her students. She stood barely 1.6 meters tall, with pale skin that looked like it would tear at the slightest touch. No claws, no fangs, no armor plating. Yet something in her demeanor commanded respect as she began her lecture on comparative xenobiology, survival adaptations across worlds. Today, we'll be discussing the relationship between organism size and lethality, Dr. Chun announced, activating a holographic display. I'd like to start with a question for our exchange students. On your homeworlds, which creatures pose the greatest threat to your species? Xenobiology raised one of her 4 arms. On Krothak, the bone crushers are our apex predators. They stand 4 meters at the shoulder, with hide thick enough to stop plasma fire and jaws that can. Excellent example, Dr. Chun interrupted gently. Large, armored, obviously dangerous. Morok, what about Thanos Prime? The crystalline being's form chimed as he spoke. The storm leviathans. Energy beings the size of your aircraft carriers, capable of generating electromagnetic pulses that can disable our technology from orbit. Similar stories emerged from the other students. Massive, obvious threats that matched the brutal environments of their worlds. Dr. Chun nodded along, making notes. Fascinating. All of your examples share common traits. Large size, obvious weapons, dramatic presence. They announce their danger. She smiled, and something about that expression made Xenobiology's chitin crawl with unease. On Earth, we have a saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Today, I'm going to introduce you to something that embodies that principle perfectly. The holographic display shifted, showing what appeared to be a tiny speck against a human finger. The students leaned forward, confused. This, Dr. Chun said, is Latrodectus mactans, the southern black widow spider. It weighs approximately 1 gram. Its body is roughly the size of a human pea. Keeltosh's energy form flickered with amusement. Professor Chun, surely you're not suggesting this microscopic creature poses any meaningful threat? Dr. Chen's smile widened. Let me show you something. The hologram shifted to show the spider in motion, its 8 legs moving with precise, mechanical efficiency as it constructed an elaborate web. Despite themselves, the alien students found the display somewhat mesmerizing. The creature moved with purpose, each strand of silk placed with mathematical precision. The Black Widow's web silk is, pound for pound, stronger than steel, Dr. Chun explained. But that's not what makes this creature remarkable. Xenobiology, you mentioned your people's warriors are among the strongest in the galaxy. What would you estimate is the maximum weight a Crothery warrior could lift? Xenobiology puffed up with pride. Our champions can deadlift nearly 2 tons. I myself can lift 1,400 kilograms. Impressive. And that makes you, what, roughly 14,000 times stronger than your own body weight. Approximately, yes. Dr. Chun nodded. This spider, weighing 1 gram, can lift objects weighing up to 170 times its own body weight. But again, that's not why we're here. The hologram zoomed in on the spider's fangs, tiny needle-like projections barely visible to the naked eye. These fangs are approximately 0.5 millimeters long. To a creature your size, Xenobiology, they would be like being pricked by a human hair. The Crothery warrior laughed, her mandibles clicking with amusement. Professor, my exoskeleton has withstood direct hits from plasma cannons. I doubt I would even feel such a tiny. The Black Widow's venom, Dr. Chun continued, is a neurotoxin called alpha-latrotoxin. A single bite contains approximately 0.02 milligrams of active compound. She paused, letting the number sink in. To put that in perspective, it would take 50,000 Black Widow bites to equal the mass of a single grain of rice. Morok's crystalline form chimed dismissively. Such a minute amount of any substance could hardly. Alpha-latrotoxin is 15 times more potent than the venom of a rattlesnake, Dr. Chun interrupted. In humans, a single bite can cause muscle cramps, nausea, difficulty breathing, and in rare cases, death. But humans have evolved alongside these creatures for millions of years. We have some natural resistance. The room had grown quiet. Something in the professor's tone was setting off every predator avoidance instinct the students possessed. I had our Xenobiology lab run some simulations based on your physiological data, which you provided when you enrolled. Dr. Chun activated a new display showing complex molecular structures. The results were illuminating. The display shifted to show the Crothery physiology, their nervous system, their chitin-reinforced exoskeleton, their redundant organs designed for survival in the harsh crystalline deserts of Krothak. Crothery nervous systems are based on a sodium-potassium ion exchange mechanism, similar to humans but with some crucial differences. Your neurons fire approximately 40% faster than human neurons, which is why your reflexes are so impressive. However, this also means that alpha-latrotoxin would propagate through your system much more rapidly. Xenobiology felt her mandibles begin to twitch involuntarily. How rapidly? According to our models, a single Black Widow bite would cause complete neuromuscular paralysis in a Crothery warrior within 4.7 minutes. Death would follow in approximately 8 minutes as the respiratory system shut down. The silence in the lecture hall was deafening. That's impossible, Xenobiology stammered, her translator struggling with the mixture of clicks and buzzes that represented Crothery disbelief. You're saying this tiny creature, this speck of insignificant life, could kill a Crothery warrior? One of the most fearsome predators in the galaxy. Dr. Chun nodded calmly. Not just could, would. Our models show a 97.3% fatality rate, assuming no immediate medical intervention with species-specific antivenoms that don't yet exist. She turned to address the other students. Morok, your crystalline structure actually makes you more vulnerable, not less. The venom would propagate through your matrix in approximately 2.1 minutes, causing cascade failure of your energy pathways. Essentially, you would shatter from the inside out. The Thanisian's chimes had taken on a distinctly panicked frequency. But how is this possible? How can such a small creature possess such potent weapons? Because on Earth, Dr. Chun said, size is not the primary determining factor for survival. Our world has been engaged in a chemical arms race for billions of years. Plants develop toxins, animals develop resistances, then more potent toxins, then better resistances. It's an endless escalation that has produced some of the most sophisticated biochemical weapons in the known galaxy. Kiltosh's energy form flickered with nervous patterns. Surely this spider is some kind of apex predator on your world? The unchallenged master of its domain. Dr. Chun laughed. Actually laughed. The Black Widow? Oh no, it's considered a minor nuisance by human standards. We have household sprays that kill them instantly. Children are taught to identify them, but mainly so they can avoid them, not because they're considered particularly dangerous. She activated a new display showing Earth's ecosystem in cross-section. Let me introduce you to some of the creatures that do concern us. This is a blue-ringed octopus. Smaller than a golf ball, but carrying enough tetrodotoxin to kill 26 adult humans. There's no known antidote. The alien students recoiled as the hologram showed the tiny cephalopod, its rings pulsing with warning colors. The irukandji jellyfish, Dr. Chun continued, is roughly the size of a fingernail, but its sting causes irukandji syndrome. Victims experience a sense of impending doom so profound that they beg doctors to let them die, just to make the psychological torture stop. Image after image flashed by cone snails that fired harpoon-like teeth loaded with neurotoxins. Poison dart frogs whose skin secretions could kill dozens of predators. The Brazilian wandering spider, the Sydney funnel web, the death stalker scorpion. Are you beginning to see the pattern? Dr. Chen asked. On Earth, the most dangerous creatures are often the smallest. They've had to become absolutely lethal to survive in an environment where they could be easily crushed or eaten. Xenobiology's proud warrior instincts were warring with a growing sense of horror. But surely your species has mastered these threats? Humans are clearly the dominant species on your world. Dr. Chen's expression grew thoughtful. We've learned to coexist with them, mostly by developing a healthy respect for their capabilities. Every human child learns basic safety rules. Don't reach into dark spaces, shake out clothing before wearing it, check shoes before putting them on. We've developed anti-venoms for some species, but for others, she shrugged, we simply avoid them. How many humans die from these creatures annually? Morok asked, his chimes barely audible. In modern times? Very few, maybe a few hundred worldwide. But that's because we've learned to be careful. We treat even the smallest potentially dangerous creature with the respect it deserves. She paused, studying her alien students' shocked expressions. I think what troubles you most is not that these creatures are dangerous. You've all faced dangerous predators on your homeworlds. What troubles you is that their danger comes not from obvious strength or size, but from invisible, molecular-level weapons that your conventional defenses are useless against. Professor Chan, Kieltosh said, her energy form now pulsing with what the humans had learned to recognize as deep concern. You speak of these creatures as if they're commonplace. How many species like this exist on Earth? Dr. Chun pulled up a global map, dotted with thousands of colored points. These represent venomous and poisonous species documented by our Xenobiology database. We estimate there are roughly 100,000 species capable of producing toxins harmful to humans, ranging from mildly irritating to instantly lethal. The number sent a ripple of shock through the assembled students. On Krothak, there were perhaps 24 truly dangerous species. On Thanos Prime, maybe 100. The idea of an entire world where seemingly harmless creatures carried molecular weapons was beyond their comprehension. But this raises an interesting question, Dr. Chun continued. How did humans not only survive in such an environment, but thrive to the point of becoming the dominant species? She brought up images of early human ancestors. Unlike your species, we didn't evolve natural armor or obvious weapons. Instead, we developed something else. Pattern recognition and adaptive behavior at a level that might seem almost supernatural to other species. The display showed human neural structures, highlighting the enlarged prefrontal cortex. Human brains dedicate enormous processing power to threat assessment and social learning. A human child can learn to identify dozens of dangerous species by sight, sound, smell, or behavioral cues. We share this information across our entire species through language, art, and cultural tradition. More importantly, she continued, we develop technology not just to overcome obvious threats like large predators, but to deal with invisible ones. Humans were creating antidotes and treatments for venoms thousands of years before we understood the underlying chemistry. Xenobiology raised an arm tentatively. Are you saying that humans are naturally resistant to these toxins? Not resistant, prepared. Watch this. Dr. Chun activated a new hologram showing a human encountering a snake. Notice the reaction time. The human identifies the threat in 0.3 seconds and begins evasive action. Compare that to the strike speed of most venomous snakes, roughly 0.4 seconds. We literally evolved to be faster than Venom. But that's just one example, Morok protested. True. So we developed tools. Images flashed by, long sticks for probing dark spaces, thick boots, protective clothing, lighting systems to eliminate hiding spots. Every piece of human technology, from our earliest stone tools to our most advanced spacecraft, reflects lessons learned from living alongside microscopic threats. Dr. Chun smiled at her students' amazed expressions. When humans first developed space travel, do you know what one of our primary concerns was? Not asteroid impacts or radiation, contamination. The possibility of encountering alien microorganisms that our immune systems weren't prepared for. We built our entire space program around protocols for dealing with invisible molecular-level threats. So when you met other species, Hiltosh began, we were already prepared for the idea that the most dangerous aspect of first contact might not be their weapons or their size, but their biology. Meanwhile, most species we've encountered seem to assume that dangerous things announce themselves clearly. She gestured to the assembled students. All of your species developed on worlds where the primary threats were large, obvious, and confrontational. You evolved strength, armor, size, energy weapons, responses to direct, visible challenges. But Earth taught us that the universe doesn't always announce its intentions. The lecture hall remained silent for several long moments as the alien students processed what they had learned. Finally, Xenobiology spoke, her voice much quieter than before. Professor Chun, are you suggesting that humans are more dangerous than they appear? Dr. Chun considered the question carefully. I'm suggesting that humans learned very early that appearance and reality don't always match. We developed the ability to see threats that other species might overlook, and to find solutions that don't rely on brute force. She brought up a final image. A human research team working with samples in a biosafety laboratory. When we encounter a new venomous species, we don't try to overpower it or outrun it. We study it. We learn how its toxins work, we develop countermeasures, and we share that knowledge with everyone who might need it. This is why human medical technology advanced so rapidly once we reached the stars, she continued. We were already accustomed to thinking in terms of molecular threats and molecular solutions. What seemed like miraculous healing abilities to other species was just Tuesday for human doctors. Morok's chimes had taken on a contemplative tone. Are you saying that Earth's dangerous creatures made humans better prepared for space exploration? I'm saying that living on Earth taught humans that the universe is full of beautiful, fascinating, deadly things that don't look dangerous until it's too late. That lesson has served us well among the stars. Dr. Chun moved to stand directly in front of her alien students. Your species developed impressive physical capabilities to deal with obvious threats. But humans developed something different. The assumption that everything might be dangerous until proven otherwise, combined with an obsession with understanding and neutralizing threats we can't simply overpower. Is that why humans seem so cautious in their interactions with other species? Hiltosh asked. Partly. But it's also why we're so interested in learning about you. Every new species we meet might have biological or technological capabilities that could kill us in ways we haven't imagined yet. So we study, we learn, we prepare. She activated one final display showing the black widow spider again, but now alongside images of human antivenom research, medical facilities, and educational materials. This tiny spider could kill any of you in minutes, but it can't kill a prepared human. Not because we're stronger or tougher, but because we've spent millennia learning how to coexist with threats that could end us with a touch. Xenobiology felt her entire worldview shifting. So when humans first made contact with our species, we immediately began researching Crothery biology, Crothery technology, Crothery culture. Not because we assumed you were hostile, but because we assumed you were potentially dangerous in ways we didn't yet understand. It served us well. We've discovered 17 different ways Crothery biochemistry could accidentally poison humans, and we've developed treatments for all of them. The lecture hall erupted in surprised clicks, chimes, and energy fluctuations as the students realized the implications. This is standard procedure for us, Dr. Chun explained. When we meet a new species, we assume they're carrying the equivalent of molecular black widows, and we plan accordingly. It's not paranoia, it's just practical. As the class period ended, Xenobiology approached the professor's desk. Dr. Chun, I have to ask, how many ways could humans accidentally kill Crothery? The professor smiled, that same unsettling smile from the beginning of class. Our preliminary research suggests 43 different mechanisms, ranging from protein incompatibilities to trace chemical exposures. Don't worry though. We've developed protocols to prevent all of them. You've thought of everything, haven't you? We've thought of everything we can imagine, Dr. Chun corrected. But Earth taught us that the universe is very good at coming up with things we can't imagine. So we keep studying, keep learning, keep preparing. As Xenobiology left the lecture hall, she found herself looking at the seemingly fragile humans around her with new eyes. They moved through their world with casual confidence, but now she realized it was the confidence of apex predators who had learned to survive in a realm where death could come from creatures smaller than their fingernails. No wonder they had adapted so quickly to space. After growing up on Earth, the galaxy probably seemed almost safe by comparison. Almost.